Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Teacher Tip Tuesday. I'm Stephanie with Archangel Education and Technology, and this week we are going to be talking about the idea of a learner profile for your students. A learner profile is something that students can input their information and share with teachers about who they are as learners. And this can be updated from month to month. Year to year. It can be something that students go back and reflect on every grading period. And so, this is a great way that you can keep in touch with your students and who they feel they are as learners, what works best for them, what does not work for them as students in the classroom, and that can help you reach them on a deeper, more personalized level. So let's take a look. This is an example that I'm going to share. And my son Jacob completed this learner profile for me. And this is something that I gave him a paper that kind of guided him with the questions, and I allowed him to use a website that we have discussed before, slidesgo.com. And these, he was able to pick out a slide presentation that worked for him. It doesn't have to be a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation. You can have learners do this in handwriting. They can fill this out in a workbook method, whatever works for you. But this is another way to incorporate technology into your classroom and allow students to explain to you who they are as a learner. So let's take a look at this. So again, my son's name is Jacob. He is 12 years old. He's in the seventh grade. And this is all about who he is as a learner. So let's take a look. You can tell right off the bat that my son Jacob is very into comic books, which is why he used this particular slides template. And so it really spoke to him. And what I did was I gave him a sheet and asked him just some generalized guiding questions. You can create your own sheet to use, or you can use the template that I'm going to give to share with you. I'm going to share this template with you, and you can create your own guiding sheet for your students. So let's take a look. Who is Jacob? He is my second born son. He loves to play video games. He is extremely creative, and he loves to cook. He actually wants to be a chef when he grows up. Uh, and this gives up me some more information. He does act in drama class. He loves the outdoors and hiking, and he received a skateboard for Christmas. And so he's been out in the neighborhood a lot, learning how to skateboard. So let's get into how Jacob learns the best. This is things that he likes when the teacher does, and things that really he feels work the best for him. Jacob is uh, a very hands-on learner. He's very outspoken. He's loud. And so he works well when a teacher is very clear about the directions. He also does not like when a teacher stands over him and tells him step by step what to do. He likes to be told what the directions are, given a reminder if he needs it, and then be able to ask questions if he needs that. He also loves to be around his friends. He's very social. Jacob is on the autism spectrum, and so he does work with a resource teacher, an outstanding resource teacher. And so he really likes when the teacher and the resource teacher speak together and communicate so that his time in the resource room can be best utilized to complete what he needs to do in the classroom. He also loves, as I said, he's very hands on, so he loves to move around. And so he likes alternative seating. He does not like when there is a lot going on in the classroom. And as he explained to me, it does not mean that he doesn't like when kids are moving around or talking. He doesn't like when there's a lot of extra stimuli. So if kids are up and dancing around or making a lot of noise or off task, it gets him easily off task. As I said, he doesn't like when someone stands right next to him. And he also doesn't like when the teacher doesn't give him time to think before he gives his answer. And that is something that was really eye opening to me. Sometimes as teachers, we find ourselves saying, Oh, you're struggling for the answer. What friend can help? And you look around for a friend that can give some help. Jacob just needs a little bit of extra time to process that information. And so he likes when a teacher gives him the opportunity to learn and he can wait a moment to process that information before giving his final answer. A term that Jacob learned in therapy when he was much younger was a term called flexible brain. And this is a term that we use on the daily in our household, and it allows Jacob to be reminded that his thinking doesn't have to be quite as rigid. It can be very flexible. Things can go a little differently than he had planned, and that's okay. And this is a term that his teachers have taken up using as well when things are a little bit different in the classroom, when they're going to have a little bit of a different day, or something that is a little bit unplanned might come up, such as a fire drill. The reminder to use a flexible brain that the day might look a little bit different is a good reminder for Jacob. Again, these things that I'm offering to you are not just for one particular learner. They can actually be great for a lot of learners, if not all learners. Um, his favorite subjects are science, PE, technology, and music class. He gets frustrated, and I like to know when my students get frustrated. And so Jacob was very clear. He needed a little bit of guidance to know and understand exactly what this meant, because a lot of things make Jacob frustrated, and that's okay. But specifically in the classroom, he feels that when the directions are not clear, and when the teacher only says them out loud, when they're not written on the board or written somewhere for him to read and to look back on, that can make him very frustrated. He does not like to be touched, and sometimes that can make him feel very frustrated as well. Even if it means, even if a teacher puts a hand on a shoulder to help kind of guide or help, that is something that he doesn't like. And so he wants to make that known. And that's very helpful information for the teachers. And then again, when there are multiple tests on a day, that makes him very frustrated because he feels he can only have room in his brain for a couple of things all at one time rather than lots and lots. So he likes to see that the teachers talk to each other and are not scheduling a lot of things due on one day. I asked Jacob to put his favorite quote, and you can see that Stan Lee um, is his most favorite author. And so, with great power comes great responsibility. Um, and then I introduced a term to my students, and I introduced this to my son instead of can I. I always like to tell my students, please don't complain about something without coming to me with a solution. So if you don't like the project ideas, that's okay. Come to me with a suggestion of something else that you can do. So I introduced this phrase instead of can I. Jacob actually filled in the blanks for me. Instead of giving a countdown on the board, can you give me a desk timer? Seeing a countdown on the board actually really stresses him out and makes him feel a sense of panic and alarm, and he finds himself focusing more on the countdown than he does on the actual assignment. Additionally, he had another idea. Instead of taking away my fidget, can you show me how I can use it better? So instead of saying, Jacob, that's making too much noise, put it away, or I'm going to take it away and set it on my desk for another time, saying to him, I I find that that's making a lot of additional noise. Is there a way that you can just play with it in your hand or move it around in your hand? I find that fidgets are a great resource for students that have that need. However, they can be a distraction, especially if they're being thrown in the air or thrown against a wall. They can be a distraction to a lot of different students in the classroom, and you don't want it to ever be a distraction. So, showing the students how to use the fidget properly instead of just taking it away when you feel they don't use it properly would be very effective. And so, this is a great example of a learner profile. You can use this example to create your own guide for students. And you can use this example with your students when you're introducing a learner profile. Again, when you introduce this concept, allow them to be creative, put in their own pictures. Maybe you want to have them put in a picture of themselves, in each grade. You can put some frames on one of the templates and allow them to put in their school photo into each grade. And then as they go, they just add a new photo and they change the information about themselves. Even young students are capable of doing things like this. They know what works for them, and they know what doesn't work for them. So again, use this profile. This is a great start for an online portfolio that you can use with your students. As they grow older, they can change this document and alter it to who they are as a learner. I hope this is helpful, and good luck. I would love to see any of the profiles that your students create for themselves. Take care.